What's up guys, this is Frazzle. I just want to make a quick video today talking about the Darkmoon Card Blue Dragon. I'm a relatively geared priest, I'm a tank healer, that's my job. I'm basically spamming our main tank for most of the raids. It's just what I do, it's how we work. So you can see I'm a relatively geared priest, I'm missing a few enchants, a few pieces of gear. But other than that, I'm a typical priest that's in a progression group that can be doing well. So off of this, we're going to be looking at my spirit. I'm at 326, that's with only Mark of the Wild and Divine Spirit, just self-buffs. Worst case scenario, these are going to be your base for your raid buffs. I've got 842 spell healing, unbuffed, and so our mana regen, I've got 264 MP5 out of combat and 99.5 in combat. Remember, this is also with the 3-piece from Tier 2 for priests. So, widely regarded, the Darkmoon card is supposed to be the best regen for priests, or healers in general, but this has kind of come into a different light for me, especially looking back through logs. I'm sure most people that do have this card are pretty familiar with the Reddit post. It is without a doubt, in theory, the best regen that you can get, and especially with AQ40 being out now, the proc is supposed to be a lot better with the longer fights. I think one of the first 2 weeks our Twin Imps kill was 11 minutes and 7 seconds. So this is, in theory, supposed to be some of the best cards in the game, but I'm looking at this blue and I'm wanting to start using it. So I'm going to go ahead and just kind of break you down on my thought process here. So, on 264 MP5 and 99.5 in combat, this is a 15-second proc, so essentially it will take me from 99.5 MP5 to 264 MP5 for 3 ticks, or 15 seconds, or 3 procs. So, the difference in the MP5 for my in-combat versus out-of-combat is 164 point MP5. Simply multiply that by 3, and that's 493.5 bonus mana per proc on the trinket. So on the 2% cast, I'm getting around 500 bonus mana. This is excluding Nightfin and everything else like that, but we can figure it out. But let's look into this, and let's kind of look at the logs and everything, and kind of dive a little bit deeper and figure this out. Alright, so now I'm on warcraftlogs, and this is from our second week of AQ40 progression. We got all the way to Cthulhu, we just did a few pulls because we were at the end of the night, and then we called it a night. So, I want you guys to know that I was using the Darkmoon card for the entirety of the raid. I wore it, I didn't take it off. Every single fight. We got an 11-minute fight here, a 5.5-minute Oro. So, these are long fights where this trinket should be good. So now we're going to find all the procs. We had 3 healers wearing it, so let's go to buffs. And then let's find the Blue Dragon, which is going to be a little bit further down here. Here it is. So, across all of our healers, it procced 52 times in the entirety of the raid. 3 of us were wearing it. But we're just going to worry about myself here, so I'm going to take off the other guys and look at mine. So you can see it procced 20 times for me, and I had a 3.86% uptime. But if we want to look at the fights here, we can go to the bosses. The bosses are what we care about here. So the Prophet Scarum, it never procced. Satura, it never procced. This is just for me as a healer, as a tank healer. Fankers, it never procced. Huhuron, it procced twice for me, so I got about 1,000 bonus mana on a 1.5-minute fight. That's really not going to make or break it, especially because that fight isn't as bad as everyone thought it would be. Let's go to Twin Imps. It procced for me only once, and the other priest only once. And then let's go to Oro, and it procced for me 4 times for about a 10% uptime. This is by far, I got about 2,000 bonus mana on a 5.5-minute fight, so that was actually very welcome there. Well, let's go ahead and look at this. This is completely a regen trinket, and you're getting no plus healing from it. I was only there for 1 or 2 pulls on Cthulhu, I had to leave, so I'm not really counting Cthulhu here. But on one long boss fight, it procced 4 times. And this is for a completely regen trinket, so this is the only thing it is doing. And if you're looking at other priest options, here's my option that I was using, would be the Royal Seal. That's 33 plus healing and 4 MP5. You could easily get this in 10 minutes by just running to Darkmoon Tribute, or Dire Maul Tribute, and simply getting it like that. It costs probably 5-10 gold tops, even if you're paying to unlock the door, whereas I paid about 1.4k for the Darkmoon card Blue Dragon when it first came out. So, if you're even just thinking about doing it, I wouldn't recommend it as a priest. And, some people may say it is a little different because it is an RNG thing, but it procced 20 times for me across the whole raid, so I'm going to go ahead and look up my guild for our first week of AQ40 progression on the 12th, where we got all the way through Twin Imps. So we're going to go to the whole raid-wide thing, we're going to go to buffs again, and we're going to try and find the blue dragon. A little down here, right here, it procced 86 times across the whole raid. It's still only procced for me 20 times in a progression raid, and it's procking about 20 times per week. I mean, on back-to-back weeks, it procced the same number of times. These procs are super low, you're getting no plus healing, and even then, in the short fights, they do nothing for you too. It's kind of concerning seeing all of this because... Sorry, I'm going back to the 820 raid. Because in all of these fights, I mean, Prophet Scarum, Satura, Fankris, Huhuron are proc twice, but for all of these fights, you might as well not be wearing a trinket for these. I mean, you might as well not be getting it. But let's look into the region here and compare it to any other trinket that you could get. And this is assuming that I am getting 493.5 bonus mana per proc. Keep that in mind. Alright, so I just kind of wanted to lay this out and kind of visualize it and see where my disdain for this trinket comes from. So, right here we've got the fight. This is from our 819 progression raid. Time of each fight, the number of procs from the Darkmoon Card Blue Dragon, the total bonus mana region on the fight for the number of procs, so that would be the number of procs times 493.5, and this is the number of 5-second intervals in the fight, so I just divided the seconds by 5, and then this is for the MP5 from the Royal Seal in Res 6, and this is the MP5 from Shard of the Scale. I don't really think many priests are going to be getting that, but this is the total bonus mana you would get in these fights. Ooh, I'm sorry. In these fights from these respective trinkets. So looking at this, I mean, Scarum, Satura, Fankris, Huron, these are all pretty short fights, so in all reality, if you do have this card, you probably shouldn't be wearing it anyways. But even looking at the two longer fights here, I did get kind of unlucky on Twin Imps. It only procced once. But the Royal Steel at 4 MP5 out-regened it for the entire fight on an 11-minute fight. Oro, it obviously won on Oro because I got lucky. I got 4 procs in a 5.5-minute fight, but then again, it's only 5.5 minutes, and 2,000 extra mana would be kind of hard to blow through on that, but it's still obviously very nice to have. So, looking at this, it kind of makes you wonder if you want to take the RNG into account. I mean, the Royal Seal, you know exactly what you're getting. You're getting 33 plus healing at 4 MP5. I mean, that is great. That's basically just a half of a Rejuve gem. I mean, you can't really complain if you have one of these. But the Darkmoon card could be good on some of these longer fights, but it's not consistently better. I mean, I got 20 procs for the entirety of this progression rate. I got 20 procs from the week before, and it just doesn't seem like the RNG is worth it, because on these long fights, I would much rather have this plus healing and the consistent regen instead of no plus healing and inconsistent regen. On all of these fights, the shorter ones, if you're a priest with Shard of the Scale on the longer ones, obviously you're probably going to want to wear it, but I don't think many priests are going to be getting Shard of the Scale because we don't exactly need regen. But I mean, as you can tell here, it gets blown out of the water on at least the shorter fights. Even then, if you need the bonus mana on these fights, you're going to be having problems, because we're not an insanely good guild, but we do well. And so, if at the very least, I would never wear it unless it's on Twin Imps, Oro, or Cthulhu. But even then, it's not consistently better, and you're losing your plus healing. So I just kind of want to take a look at the Reddit post next that talks about the Darkmoon card Blue Dragon and the regen on it, and kind of just see where we stand on that, and if what they said holds up. I'm sure everyone knows this post. I've talked about it before, so let's check it out. Alright, so this is a Reddit post that I saw when I was originally doing my research about all of this, and so shout out to everyone if you worked on it. I mean, I'm not trying to steal anything, I'm just trying to have an honest conversation. So, this guy kind of broke it down right here. I really like what he said, so shout out to Visceratia, whoever you are. So, let's say you have 250 spirit. I obviously have more than that, so it should be relatively better for me. And so this is assuming you have tier 2 3-piece, which I pray to God you do if you have this trinket, and the proc of Blue Dragon is 132 MP5. That's a little less than what I'm getting, but that's okay. But this is assuming you're chain casting for the entirety of the fight every 2 seconds. I mean, that is like a flash heal. That's spamming flash heal. And on these, 10, 11 minute fights, you're not going to be doing that. So this is a 14% uptime, which is just completely unrealistic on here. I mean, in theory, if you're fully world buff, chugging mana pots and popping dark runes all the time, blast, everything, I guess you could do it if you're downranking Flash Heal a little bit, but let's be realistic here. It says, due to the way pre-scaring works, this will continue to be valuable through the end of the expansion, and will rise in value. But this is true, and it will continue to get better, but it's only better on these longer fights. So for a priest on Dispel and Renew Duty, it's 18.3%. This is assuming you're spamming the entire time, and I mean, if you're healing, you obviously know you're not spamming the entire time. I think that it's a little bit misleading because people are, theory crafting this perfectly, but in actuality, this stuff just doesn't work like that because it's too unreliable for regen, and so it's the best current regen trinket and will remain the best. I personally disagree with this. I mean, it just doesn't make sense. I mean, as you can see in here, you're relying on a number, and you're getting less plus healing. So it might be the best regen trinket, or it can be, but it's not consistently the best trinket to use in raiding. You're sacrificing plus healing and reliability. Although I do think it could be good if you were to get Will of Arlok and really buy into it and enchant it with Spirit and everything and throw it on when it does proc, but even then, I don't know if it's better. It's unreliable, and everything else just makes me lean towards using the other trinket. And so I'm personally making the switch. I might throw it on for Twin Imps and see how that goes and see if I can get any procs, but other than that, I mean, I just can't really rationalize using it in raiding anymore. But thanks for watching, and I hope you guys learned something.